The question has been posed about the grammar of equative verbs, primarily verbs that have some form of estin or asin, the verb for it is or they are present in it. These are equative not only in Greek but in all languages that I'm aware of, well, which isn't all of them by any means, but a couple, because the verb to be or estin in Greek will not take a direct object. It basically says one thing is something else. And so the nature and grammar of the verb estin is that you're always going to have nominative cases that go with it. What it will often do is take two nominatives, where another verb like Lego would take a nominative for a subject and an accusative for a direct object. Estin will take a nominative for a subject and then what's called a predicate nominative, meaning where it would have an object, the thing that it will take will be a second nominative, and basically what it's saying is one thing is the other. For instance, ho theos agape estin, God is love. Ho theos, the subject, is nominative. Agape is also nominative. You'd never say in Greek, ho theos agapein estin, God is love, where agapein is accusative. It's ho theos agape estin. So both nouns are nominative, and basically the verb estin draws an equal sign between them, saying God is love, ho theos agape estin. So where you've got estin or some form of it, you're not going to have an accusative present. You're going to have potentially two nominatives. Sometimes you're going to have only one, where frequently that nominative is the predicate, not the subject of the sentence. So, for example, he is Lord, Kyrios estin, or Kyrios estin, or ho Kyrios estin perhaps. He is, the subject is embedded in estin like it normally is in Greek words, and then the nominative is functioning as a predicate, not as a direct object in technical grammatical terms. Hopefully that becomes clear through repeated exposure. All right, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to do as quickly as we can as many of the exercise 7 sentences as we can. Estelle, you wanted to say?
I just wanted to say thank you.
Parakalo. Parakalo is modern Greek for it's a pleasure. Blepete, my screen. Blepete. Can you see it?
No.
Luca?
All right, so we're going to do these fairly quickly. Some are easy. Most of them are relatively easy, but I'll try and get through all of them in the time that we've got. Please feel free to interject if you've got a question about any of them as we go. As far as I've highlighted the stem letter, which is the final letter of the stem of the word, in red, and the case ending in blue. Those are two keys to diagnosis. Apen is a verb, means he is, he, she, or it is. So he spoke. Moron. He spoke. There's a great Greek word. There are two of them, by the way. One is moron and one is idiotes. And you can pretty much guess what they mean. Apen, he spoke. Ho Jesus, we can see as nominative, nominative case ending, nominative masculine singular article, functions therefore as the subject of the verb apen. So apen, ho Jesus, autois. Autois is not a noun, it's a pronoun, but it behaves very much in the same way as first and second declension nouns. We can see the stem letter ending here is omicron. Iota sigma, case ending is dative plural, and it's functioning as the indirect object of the verb apen. So apen autois ho Jesus, Jesus spoke to them. Verb first is fairly typical of Greek. Frequently we would have the subject next and other modifiers later. Jesus spoke to them. Elale. Elale means he, she, or it was speaking. I'll make reference to one or two diagnostics for verbs as we go along. I do not expect you to try and memorize them at this stage, but just to create awareness. This verb is from e plus the root laleo. Connecting vowel at the end, epsilon. That's how it's spelled. This initial epsilon, which is prefixed to the start of a verb, is a marker of past time. It applies to the two past tense forms that we have in Greek. So it's called an augment. So that makes my verb past tense. Elale, he, she, or it was speaking. Autois, again, stem ending in omicron will decline according to the second declension. Iota sigma, dative plural case ending, could be nominative. Could be neuter, or it could be masculine. In this case, speaking to them will make it masculine because although you can speak to a group of things, it's most likely people that he was speaking to. So, elale, he was speaking. Ton logon, accusative singular case ending, second declension. The omicron tells me second declension. The new case ending tells me it's accusative singular because I know logos is a masculine noun. If logos was a neuter noun, nu could be nominative or accusative. However, ton, the article, can only be nominative masculine singular, so it serves as a second key to identification. So ton logon, the word or the message, autois, to them. He spoke the word to them. Sorry, didn't mean to click on that. He was speaking the word to them. Happy?
Yes, thanks, Kev.
All right, Eucharisto, have one happy guest. Ten agapen tu theu uk echete. Ten agapen tu theu uk echete. If we look for a noun in the nominative case, we do not find it. What we find is uk echete. Echete is a verb. It's spelled from the root ech, connecting vowel, and te. That te ending is second person plural. It's a common diagnostic for second person plurals. So we can't tell in English whether you is singular or plural, but in Greek it's very clearly plural because the te ending is distinctively plural, second person plural. Our verb is uk echete. Uk is the negative. It's often just u, but where the next word starts with a vowel, it'll become uk, or if it has a vowel and a rough breathing, it'll become uch, with a chi over here. Has three forms, in other words. Uk echete, you do not have. Tein agapein, we've got a stem vowel ending in eta, so it's first declension. Case ending nu. Accusative singular. The article confirms it's accusative singular. Accusative article, an accusative noun is going to function most likely as the direct object of the verb, which is the case. So, you do not have tein agapein, the love. Tu theu, second declension from the omicron stem vowel. Upsilon is the genitive singular case ending. The article tu is genitive singular. Is it masculine or neuter? Only way we can know is if we know that the root is theos, and theos is masculine. So this is genitive, masculine, singular. Tu theu. What the genitive does is it establishes a relationship between two nouns. Tein agapein is the head noun, and tu theu, of God, is another noun in some relationship to tein agapein. When we get to intermediate Greek, we'll start to unpack more of those relationships. The most common one is that it's describing or possessing something. So in this case, tein agapein tu theu is telling us it's the love of God, God's love. So you do not have the love of God. Simple sentence. By the way, This is a famous phrase in scripture, ten agapen tu theou, because depending on context, the question will be raised, does it mean our love for God or God's love for us? For instance, the love of Christ compels us. Is it our love for Christ that compels us to tell the world about him, or is it Christ's love for us that compels us to tell the world about him? Number 4, epimenomen, you should continue te hamartia. Now, the first thing I want you to observe is this thing. What is this? Anybody?
Question mark.
Nai polikala. It's a question mark. It's the Greek equivalent of our question mark. So it tells us that the sentence is a question. In our Greek New Testaments, we'll see these question marks and other punctuation marks. They are not original, meaning the original copies of the New Testament or other literature from the same period would not have included punctuation marks like a question mark. They were only developed later and added to the Greek script. Later manuscripts, where they were writing in a form more similar to what we write now, would have included these, but they are interpretations. And there are quite a few places in the Greek New Testament where you might take something as a question or as a statement. And when you pick up whatever New Testament you use and you see a question mark, what you have is the opinion of the editors that the sentence in front of you is a question. It's normally quite a reliable opinion, but it's not an inspired opinion or an infallible opinion. Okay, so for the purposes of the exercise though, this is definitely a question because we see the question mark. So epimenomen, we are told, means we should continue, but since it's a question, it's going to be, should we continue? Te hamartia. All right, hamartia. I'll put here. Hamartia. Hamartia. Hamartias. Hamartia. I'll just do the singulars. Hamartian, if we type out all the case forms. It's clearly a first declension noun, stem ending in alpha. All right. What I want to do is separate as much as I can these elements. So we've got an alpha over there. Now compare if I was to take a word like doxa. Sorry, changed keyboards recently. If we take doxa, we get sorry. So here's a comparison simply between doxa and hamartia all the way through. What you'll notice is that on doxa, the genitive and dative singulars, the stem vowel changes from alpha to eta. Blepete? Whereas in hamartia it does not. There's a very simple rule to tell you when it does what. If the letter preceding the stem vowel is epsilon, iota, or rho, one of those three, alpha is retained all the way through. If it's anything else, it changes to eta in the genitive and dative singulars. This is significant because the accusative plural, if I was to have the accusative plural here, it would be hamartias, and sorry, and doxas respectively. So for doxa, which doesn't have a second last letter, epsilon, iota, or rho, the feminine accusative plural form doxas is different to the genitive singular. Those two, accusative plural and genitive singular, are only identical for nouns that end in epsilon, iota, or rho. So a bit of a digression, but it can help on occasion. Okay. Epimenomen, should we continue? Te hamartia. We can see the iota subscript on a noun. You see an iota subscript, you're looking at a dative singular. The article confirms it's feminine dative singular. Shall we continue to sin? The dative has a range of common uses. One of them is, the most common is the indirect object, but it's also used in the sense of in and by, instrumental and locative uses. So potentially this could be translated, shall we continue in sin? Shall we continue by sin? Doesn't make any sense here. Okay? So you could have rendered this, shall we continue to sin, or shall we continue in sin? At this stage, you're likelier to render it as, shall we continue to sin? Questions? All right.
Sorry, Kevin.
Albertos.
Mounts talks about using his keywords, and he always says that put in the keywords in or so on with the dative. Do you prefer us not to?
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I'm fine with that. It's a translation tool and an aid to recognition. So if the keyword to or for fits, then you for a dative, if the keyword to or for fits, then you are normally looking at an indirect object. If it doesn't, try in, which would mean your dative is locative, usually, meaning it's telling you a place or sphere. And the other one that you can use quite often with the dative is by, which would give you the sense of instrument, that the dative is telling you the instrument by which something is carried out. No, they're absolutely fine. The problem as you get a bit more advanced is that you have to keep quite a few of them at your fingertips, because to, for, in and by will cover most uses of the dative, but there are ones that don't fit those.
Eucharisto.
Barakalo. Number 5, apostele. He, she, or it will send. This iota on the end here is this, well, the a ending as a whole is typically third person singular. Apostele, he will send. Hohios. Hohios, clearly nominative. We can see the article. We can see its second declension, and it's got the nominative masculine singular case ending. Sigma is never neuter in second declension nouns. Hohios. Tu anthropu. Again, tu anthropu, clearly genitive. Second declension, upsilon, genitive singular case ending. Anthropos is masculine, so it's genitive masculine singular. Hohios, the son, tu anthropu, of man, Jesus' favorite designation for himself. Hohios is the subject of the verb, and tu anthropu is modifying hohios. It's telling us which son, the son of man. So the son of man will send tus angelus, second declension, as we can see from the omicron. Upsilon sigma is the accusative plural ending. The article confirms. So tus angelus, the angels, autou, genitive masculine singular, of him. Technically, we're only covering this word later in the course, but it is fairly easy to recognize for now. So the angels of him in English we would put as his angels. Sentence means the Son of Man will send his angels. Apostele hohios tu anthropu tus angelus autou. Katalambanete? take silence as consent. Engiken, it has drawn near. He, she, or it. Gar is a very common word, means for, usually. It introduces either a reason or an explanation of what's gone before. Gar never appears first in sentence. It's what's called post-positive. It'll always be at earliest the second word in its sentence. Typically, it's exactly the second word of its sentence, and quite often will interrupt words that would normally go together. Engiken gar, for it has drawn near. He Basileia, we can see has a stem letter, alpha, so it's going to be first declension. It has no case ending. For first declension nouns, the absence of a case ending means it is nominative. Nominative singular is the only first declension form that does not have a case ending. The article confirms, so this is nominative feminine singular, he Basileia, the kingdom. Ton uranos. Now, the ending on is dominant. It overpowers any vowel that it joins to. So what we would have had here is urano plus on. Urano plus on as an ending, but you will never see uranoon as a final form, because omicron plus omega simply becomes omega. And the same applies to other vowels, by the way. Whatever joins to omega becomes omega. Omega is dominant, absolutely dominant amongst the vowels. So the ending on overpowers whatever it joins, and for that reason is also visible in feminine forms. So if we took the verb agape, the noun agape for instance, and we add the case ending on, now eta plus omega will also become simply omega. So that becomes agapon. And in the case of feminine forms, the typical alpha epsilon case ending gets lost in the genitive plural because this case ending is so dominant. It causes it to disappear. So in this form, we don't see, go away, man. We don't see a stem letter. It's been overwritten by the genitive plural case ending omega nun. He Basileia ton uranon, literally the kingdom of the heavens. Uranos tends to be plural, even though in English we would give it a singular sense. So this would render, for the kingdom of heaven is drawn near, not the kingdom of the heavens. Happy?
Yes, very clear. Thanks, Kev.
Epistusen, he believed.
Sorry, Kevin. Do we
No,
not?
Albertos.
Do we not then bring in the plural heavens in a translation? Is that not more correct?
No, it's not. Because in our language, uranos in the plural refers to heaven. So I wouldn't mark you wrong, but all English translations are going to render this phrase the kingdom of heaven, singular, where uranos seems to function as a plural of majesty, not as referring to multiple heavens.
All right. So, although if we did see it as heavens, that would not be incorrect.
Wouldn't mark you wrong. No, wouldn't mark you wrong. This footnote will probably tell us the word sometimes occurs in the plural, but it is preferable to translate it as singular in English. All right. Thanks, Mounts.
Ah, okay. Thanks.
Yeah, so uranos, that's an anomaly about uranos. You can simply commit it to memory, and particularly when it's the kingdom of and the plural form uranon. translated as singular. Epistusen, he, she, or it believed. Or anthropos, ha, nominative masculine singular, second declension form, NMS case ending. So the man, which is nominative and therefore the subject. So the man believed. To logo. Now, we can see the iota subscript. You know for certain you're looking at a dative singular. If you know logos is masculine, you're looking at a dative masculine singular. And we can see the case ending, the noun agrees with the article, which is the same. Now, what's interesting here is that some verbs, and pistuo for I believe is one of them, some verbs take their direct object in the dative case, some verbs take their direct object in the genitive case. The vast majority take their direct object in the accusative case. Epistusen frequently takes a dative as its direct object. So although to logo is dative, it is here functioning as the direct object of the verb epistusen, and I bet for sure that's what he's going to tell us here. This particular verb often takes its direct object in the dative case. Okay, so to logo is the direct object, and the sentence means epistusen or anthropos to logo, the man believed the word, or if you like, the man believed in the word. The man believed the message, something like that. Okay? How do you know that? Answer, you have to learn. That's a characteristic of the verb pistuo. It's not hard with a verb like that because that one occurs very often. Gnoriste, he, she, or it might be made known. This is a passive construction. Noon, now. Gnoriste noon, now it might be made known. We've got two second declension, first declension and feminine nouns, arche, archais, and exousia, exousiais. We can see the alpha is indicative of first declension, iota sigma is indicative of dative plurals. So tais archais, two rulers. The word can mean beginning or ruler, but in this context beginnings would not fit, so by default two rulers and two tais exousias, the authorities. These two often go together, arche and exousia, in constructions like this where the reference is to rulers and authorities, probably referring to demonic powers. Gnoriste nun tais archais kai tais exousias. Now it has been made known to the rulers and to the authorities. And yeah, your typical dative indirect object to fits perfectly. I'll move on if there are no questions. He agape to theu enkechutai. Enkechutai, it has been poured out, is the verb. He agape in the nominative. You can see first declension, no case ending, nominative, feminine singular. The article confirms. So the love, nominative feminine singular, is the subject. What has been poured out? He agape. To theu, genitive masculine singular. You can see upsilon is the genitive singular case ending for the second declension. He agape to theu, the love. Whose love? Of God. God's love. The love of God has been poured out in a preposition that requires a dative. And indeed we can see dative plural ending, tais kardiais, in the hearts, hemon is of us or our, so in our hearts. When you are asked to explain the function of a noun, and the noun is the object of a preposition, as it is here, en tais kardiais, the answer is kardiais is functioning as the object of the preposition in. En requires a dative, which is what we have, and then en plus the dative means in this instance. So en plus the dative, in our hearts. So the moment a noun is governed by a preposition, the preposition, not the case ending in and of itself, determines the meaning of that noun. Can I move?
Kevin, just a quick question.
Hmm.
The preposition N, pretty much, is it safe to say that N is always or mostly a dative preposition? It's mostly connected with a dative ending in the noun.
Not mostly. There are 2,700 approximately occurrences of N in the New Testament, and 2,700 of them will have a dative following.
Okay.
You get prepositions that take one case, meaning every occurrence of that preposition requires that the noun following it will be in a certain case. You get prepositions that take two cases, and you get some that will take any of three cases, the nominative always being excluded. For prepositions that take only one case, like N, the presence of the preposition is a very reliable diagnostic of the case of the noun that's following.
Yeah.
So there are 2,700 approximately occasions in the New Testament where you can know the case of a noun simply because N is present, and therefore it must be dative. All right. After Kai and the article, I think N is the most common word in the New Testament. And by the way, we get our English word in from N. So in is simply N, basically.
Right.
Arche, nominative feminine singular, you can see first declension. To euangeliu, the beginning of the gospel, genitive singular. Jesu Christu, of Jesus Christ, genitive singulars, masculine. Heu theou, more genitive singulars, so you can see the diagnostic upsilon added to a second declension form, which is always genitive singular. Essentially, all a genitive is doing is establishing a relationship between the noun and the one preceding it, usually the one immediately preceding it. And there are places in the New Testament where we have what are called genitive chains, where you'll have a string of genitives chained together in a row, and here we've got them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 genitives heaped together. In a chain, typically each one is linked to the one immediately before it, and will have some kind of relationship to the one immediately before it. It's probably a bit premature to be unpacking the details of that. So for our purposes, this is the beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and this one functions simply as standing in what's called apposition to Jesus Christ, heu theou. The square brackets, most editions of the New Testament will use square brackets to indicate uncertainty about whether words are original. So if we were to unpack heu theou and go and dig a little bit deeper, we would find that there are three important early manuscripts that leave them out of the heading of Mark's Gospel. This is the opening salvo of Mark's Gospel. They're present in most manuscripts, but there are a few important early manuscripts that leave them out. And so the editors of the New Testament are not sure whether Mark wrote them and they were added, which would be a scribal tendency, or whether Mark whether Mark did not write them and a scribe accidentally added them to the name of Jesus, or whether Mark did write them and somehow they were accidentally omitted and then copied that way. So that's just indicating uncertainty about whether those words are present, because we have manuscripts that have them and manuscripts that don't have them. So one's got to make a judgment call as to which was likeliest the original reading. That takes one into the field known as textual criticism, and it's a bit of a minefield for the uninformed, which includes me. Exousia.
I was just thinking, maybe it might be helpful to them if you do the sentences with prepositions in number 16 and 19 has prepositions. I could be wrong, but if I were in these shoes, it would have helped.
All right. 16 and 19. I'll make sure I get to them by 7 o'clock. Otherwise, we'll jump ahead. Exousian eche, he has. Exousian eche. All right, so what we got here is exousian is accusative. I can see the accusative singular case ending nu. And it's moved to the front of the sentence. It wouldn't normally be there. That's like putting it in bold in the way we write in modern English. It's displaced to the front. It would be emphatic. Eche, hohios to anthropu, we've already discussed. The Son of Man, it's nominative, it's the subject. So the Son of Man has authority. Notice the emphatic position of exousian. It would normally be eche, hohios to anthropu, exousian. But here we have exousian eche, hohios to anthropu. Emphatic position, much like bold or italics. So the sentence is saying the Son of Man has authority, where the stress is on authority. The stress isn't on who has the authority, it's on the authority that the Son has. Aphienai, to forgive. Hamartias, now, hamartias is diagnostically problematic because we've got hamarti, notice that it ends immediately preceding the stem vowel alpha, we have an iota, right? When you've got an iota, the genitive singular as well as the accusative plural will look the same. It's the only case, the epsilon iota row before the alpha. It's the only case where these two are potentially the same. So looking at this word, there's no article, there's no preposition, and the form hamartias could be genitive singular or accusative plural. Now even then, there'll very seldom be any doubt about it because its role in a sentence will determine what it is. Here we have to forgive, which is a verb, and it's self-evident that hamartias is functioning as the object of aphienai, so it's going to be accusative plural in this case. The Son of Man has authority to forgive. Hamartias sins, feminine accusative plural. Okay. 12. He agape gar tu theu. He agape tu theu. We know it's nominative singular. Notice the gar. The author cannot put it in first position in the sentence, and he didn't want to put it in between he and agape. He didn't want to split the article from its noun. Sometimes they'll do that. He didn't in this case. But it would, in our sentence, always come first. 4. The love of God, didaske, teaches. Ten exousian, feminine, accusative. We can see the accusative case ending and the article to confirm that it's feminine accusative singular. Teaches the authority. Tu kuriu, genitive article, genitive singular case ending on a second declension form, the authority of the Lord. It's a weird sentence. I mean, what the heck does that mean? The love of God teaches the authority of the Lord. I think it's a made-up one. I haven't checked it. Hai archai to Israel. Remember, arche can mean beginning or ruler. Usually when it's plural, it's going to mean rulers, because beginnings is not a logical concept for the most part. Beginning is normally singular. There's one beginning of something. Hai archai to Israel. This is feminine. And iota is the nominative plural case ending. It's also the dative singular case ending, but in its dative singular, it's subscripts. And if it were dative singular, this is not epsilon iota rho preceding alpha. If it had subscripted in dative singular, alpha would go to eta. So hai archai, and the article confirms. The rulers of Israel, uk epistusan, not, they believed, they did not believe, hoti, that, ha Jesus, Jesus being somewhat irregular, but we do see the typical sigma ending for nominative masculine singular, and the article confirms that it's nominative masculine singular. Hoti ha Jesus mise, that Jesus hates, tas hamartias. In this case, there's no doubt it's accusative feminine plural. Why? Because the article is present, and if this was genitive feminine singular, the article would take the form tes. So tes is the genitive singular article, tas is the accusative plural article. Tas hamartias, accusative feminine plural, sins. So, hai archai to Israel, uke pistusan, the rulers of Israel did not believe hoti that, ha Jesus mise tas hamartias, that Jesus hates sins. Not sin, sins. This is plural. Happy?
Yep. Thank you.
Hod de logos. De is another of those words like gar that will never occur first in sentence. It normally occurs second, and as here, it has such a strong preference for second position that you'll frequently find de in between an article and the noun that it governs. Hod de logos. And, now, or but is the meaning of de. Let's assume it's but. But, hologos to Jesu, the word. You can see the article and the case ending sigma telling you it is nominative masculine singular and therefore likely the subject of the main verb. To Jesu is a genitive modifying word. Whose word? Jesus' word, the word of Jesus. Eche has exousian, feminine, accusative, and singular from the case ending nu. The word of Jesus has authority. What did I just do? I think I did that. Has authority. Hoti. Hoti means that or because. In our previous sentence it meant that. They didn't believe that Jesus hates sin. Here it means because. Choose the one that fits. Hotheos ein, because God, nominative masculine singular, was in, what's going to follow? Answer, a dative. In te arche, iota subscript confirms it's a dative. Te arche, the beginning. To cosmu, of the world, genitive singular modifying. Te arche. Commit to memory. Genitives modify nouns. Datives modify verbs. So genitives are by nature adjectival. They modify nouns. Datives are by nature adverbial. They modify verbs. There are exceptions, but that applies probably 90% of the time. Ego, poio. Ego is I. You can see we get the ego from that. Ego, I. Poio means I do. So when you have the ego separate, it's rather emphatic. I do. To ergon. Now, the new ending can be nominative masculine singular, but it can also apply to neuter second declension nouns, in which case it can be nominative or accusative. Sorry, if it's masculine, it'll always be accusative. The article to is neuter. Hope you've memorized that. To is neuter. There'd be a nu on the end if it was masculine. So to ergon is the work, and it can be nominative or accusative. For neuter nouns, the nominative and accusative forms are always identical. Always. Without exception. So I do to ergon. It's not going to be the subject, it's going to be the object. I do the work to angelu, the work of the angel or of the messenger. I do the work of the angel or of the messenger. Autos de. Now remember, de is always second. In your mind, move it one word forward to get the English sense. de, but autos, he has. Ten doxan, direct object, accusative case, ending, direct object, he has the glory, to theou, modifying doxan, whose glory? The glory of God. Ego poio ton ergon, to angelu, I do the work of the angel, autos de eche ten doxan to theou, but he has the glory of God. Happy? This one was potentially confusing because you have to realize that there's two clauses and the dividing line comes here, not here, because de has to move forward one word for logical sense. Alright, so 16. Hoi de hioi. Notice again, de so strongly wants to be second that it's happy to split hoi from hioi, even though hoi hioi belong together. Hoi hioi. Second declension. Iota is the nominative plural ending. It's also the dative singular ending, but the dative singular subscripts. So this is nominative masculine plural, the sons, tes basileas, of the kingdom. Notice Basilea is another of those nouns in which its first declension, I can see the alpha stem vowel. If the alpha is immediately preceded by iota, epsilon, or rho, alpha will be retained throughout the singular. So the genitive singular is basileas. The accusative plural is also going to be basileas. In this case, the article is tes, which is definitely genitive singular, removes all ambiguity. Tes basileas means of the kingdom, the sons of the kingdom. It's genitive singular. Ek ble thesontai, they will be thrown out. Eis toskotos. Eis, preposition that requires an accusative case. Requires. So just as every occurrence of n is going to have a dative following it, every occurrence of eis is going to have an accusative following it. To, neuter singular article, could be nominative, but it's the direct object of eis. So it's not going to be nominative, it's going to be accusative. And skotos means darkness. This is not, contrary to its appearance, it is not a second declension noun, even though it has omicron there. It's actually a third declension noun, and you don't need to worry about it for now. And then 19, you said, Estelle, so I'm going to jump down to 19. Looks like I've done this before. Probably was last year. All right, so 19, kaisu es akuse, and you will hear kai hileos, meaning merciful, ese, so there's not a single word you've learned in that sentence so far. You will be merciful. Tais hamartiais, we can see alpha, first declension, iota sigma, it's dative plural, and the helping word to is definitely going to fit here. You will be merciful. Tais hamartiais, to the sins. Tu lau, you can see it's genitive singular, of the people. Laos, from which we derive the English word laity, by the way. Laos means people, but it's a collective singular. So it's the people as a unit, a group. So you notice it's singular, but it means the people as a collective. To Israel, of Israel, Israel does not decline. It's a loan word borrowed from Hebrew, but the article clearly tells me it's understood in the sentence as being genitive. So it's tais hamartiais, tu lau, to Israel. You will be merciful to the sins of the people of Israel. Kai oisete, and you will bring autus, it's accusative plural, you can see the accusative plural case ending, and you will bring them. Eis is a preposition. Be very careful. the masculine form of the number 1 is Hace, with a rough breathing. Ace, Hace. And sometimes that can throw one. Most often it's the preposition ace. Ace into ten gain. Ace always, always, always requires an accusative, and ten gain is an accusative feminine singular, the land. So starting from the second clause, which is where you could start to have some contribution, you will be merciful, tais hamartiais tu lautu Israel, to the sins of the people of Israel, kai oise te autus, and you will bring them, direct object, ace ten gain, into the land. If you're explaining the function of ace ten gain, gain is the object of the preposition ace. Ace plus the accusative means into. Happy?
Yeah, Kevin?
Shoot.
Just a question on that second phrase, and you will be merciful to the sins of the people of Israel. That doesn't really make sense. Couldn't sins be a pronoun for sinful people?
Well,
I suppose it's inferred.
Obviously, one of the challenges with translation exercises like this is that the moment you lift a sentence from its context, various elements can be confusing. So the meaning is clearly that the sins the Israelites have committed. He's going to be merciful to the people of Israel for the sins that they have committed. There's no doubt that is the sense of it. But the direct rendering of it is that it is saying to the sins of the people of Israel. So God will show mercy to Israel for the sins they have committed would be the sense. I see it's based on 1 Kings 8:34. Let me see if I have a... have a quick...
That would be the Septuagint, obviously, that it's...
Yeah, it would. So if we just jump directly to there, and we'll have to end with this. So yeah, we've got Kaisu es akuse, you will hear, ek tu uranu, from heaven, out of heaven, kai helios, and merciful ese, you will be, tais hamartiais tu lau to Israel, to the sins of the people of Israel, kai apostrepses, and you will turn, autus, turn or return. All my highlighting is kicked in, sorry. Where were we? 34. Kai apostrepses, and you will return, autus, them, into the land, eisteen gain, which, hen, edokas, you gave, tois patrasin auton, patrasin to their fathers, patriarchs, patra. Patrasin auton, to their fathers. Let's check that in English. Yeah, that's the literal rendering, Mike. I presume. No, where's English? There. Yeah, that's just pretty much what it says.
Right.
People Israel falls before enemies because they sin. Yeah, see, if we go back, it's they who sinned. So because they sinned, they fell before their enemies, but now God will be merciful with reference to their sins. I think that's the idea.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Always risky to translate a single sentence without a context. Good. All right. So hopefully that's sensible. What we are striving for is that you see a case ending and you immediately recognize the stem vowel, the case ending, which would give you a sense of declension and what case you're looking at, and then the presence of other diagnostics, most notably either the article or a preposition that would definitively tell you what case you're looking at. Based on the case, we identify form and then function in the sentence derives from that. All right, thanks everyone. I am going to hit the road shortly and get my son to school. I think I'm on the school run today, so I'll chat to you guys next week.
Thank you, Kev.
Eroste. Eroste, everyone.
Eroste.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.